wasn't here.
Good evening, everyone. I'd like to welcome everyone to the Board of Supervisors meeting for Thursday, August 3rd. Please stand for the pledge. Pledge allegiance
to the flag of the United States of America, and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
There was one executive session held this evening. It was for potential litigation specific, a permit application. RC was not present. Meeting minutes for approval. I'd like to make a motion to approve the meeting minutes. I saw there was a mistake on page 3, Village of East Cocalico. That vote was 2-1 with Jeff.
2-0.
2-0, sorry, with Jeff abstaining. I'd like to make a motion to approve the meeting minutes with that correction.
Yeah, no, I will second that.
Motion is second. All in favor?
Aye.
Aye. Motion carries. Right. Moving on, discussions and presentations. Letter A, we have fire company records policy. We discussed this at the last meeting. We had talked about what we wanted to see moving forward from our fire companies for the donation. I don't know if you want to touch on it. If you want to touch on it without RC being here, or
Well, yeah, and I apologize to some the companies for some confusion that happened in the past. There was a normal letter sent out that was sent out every year prior with what the board wanted to see as far as proof of how our donation was spent. And I guess the board has decided to make it a little more clear what the expectations are in the future. So when the letter gets sent out, we'll take that confusion away. So, I guess we touched on it in previous meetings, but we didn't really bring it to a conclusion. So, I've been fairly consistent about wanting to see, canceled checks and bills for the amount of the donations. I think that validates how it was spent. And I will commend the one company for sending balance sheets out with, every payment received, every bill that came in, budgeting information, and there's really nothing more that could be asked for there. It's extremely complete. So, I just wanted to know a little bit, I guess, where your thoughts were, where this should go. You're thinking similarly, or you want something a little different? Or?
So I wrote down some notes, what I would like to see. Obviously, from attending meetings before I was a supervisor, and then last year, seeing how it played out, and this year seeing how it played out, I wasn't a fan of giving them the runaround and them getting different sides of a story from supervisors. I don't know how many, but I didn't talk to the fire companies personally, so I didn't request any information. I didn't deny any information. I think it's fair that when we do send out the letter on a yearly basis, that if we can all agree upon, or the majority agree upon what to request, we send it to them. If we don't get it, they don't get the donation. If we get it, we get the donation. Notes I have, I personally would like to see canceled checks totaling the amount of the donation, and I also wrote down a profit and loss for the previous year.
So you'd like to see the basic balance sheet.
That's what I'd like to see. I don't know the rest of the board, what they would decide on. And obviously, it doesn't have to be a decision tonight. We're missing a board member. We can gladly have this discussion in another public meeting. But I feel like we gotta do our part to be the leaders that we were voted to be and stop giving our volunteers a runaround.
Well, we need to be real specific in the letter that's sent out. What the expectations should be, since they're apparently changing.
I don't know if you guys had them set previously. How were you guys doing it previously
Well,
before my time?
You have probably seen the letter that was sent out. It was somewhat generic, asking for, just how the money was spent, and the letter came back, the response came back, what was spent on this, this, and this. So it's very generic without being specific in it.
Were you guys specific about canceled checks?
No.
So that was just a request that was made out of the blue.
Yes. Well, it happened last year with the fuel reimbursement. You remember we asked for that.
But it didn't happen this year. It didn't happen this year for this donation.
No.
That was your request.
That was my request.
Yeah, so this discussion, I guess, it can continue at the next meeting, and we'll get it squared away and give direction to the manager on what
to put in the letter.
But you gotta be ready to enforce it. That's, if we're gonna set the guidelines, we gotta enforce it. If we don't get it, my wish is you don't get the donation. You gotta be ready to put your foot down.
Yeah, I would think that,
You can't get wishy-washy.
normally the letter gets sent out in September. And, I would hope that till the end of the year, we could get, reimbursement, or proof back by the end of the year on what was, how the money in the donation was spent. So that seems like it's something, should be something workable thing.
Will you make sure that's on the agenda for the next meeting then? Yeah, please. All right. Question.
You said about the letter, I actually went back and looked through the email and Donnie's still about it, that Lisa sent to us. If you wanted, if any of you want to look at the letter, it is very generic.
Yeah. No, and that's.
Yeah, and one of the other things, and I don't know how the other companies feel, is we used to get that money back in March, and now here we got it last meeting in July. It keeps getting farther and farther away. I don't know if there's if we have a deadline that we need to have our stuff in, maybe you guys can set a deadline. If they have their stuff in by a certain time, we're giving them their money.
I only remember May, because then the money comes back in from the spring taxes, which, the discount period.
Yeah.
That's the end of April, so it normally
That's
comes
about
in.
correct. They were waiting, that's about correct, and it had time in the taxes, so
Okay.
that's been typical all the years.
So we'll try and be more specific with this letter, and you're right, it was very generic. So.
Any other questions? Yes, sir.
Chad Weaver, Jeff and I had talked about our tax returns and some other things for Stephen specifically, and he still had asked for 2022. Ours still hasn't been done. So if you guys are gonna ask for them certain things, make sure you abide by the requirements you want from us, that we abide by the law for. We won't get our return back because they do the extensions because everybody else is more important than the nonprofits. We won't get ours back till September-ish, maybe October. So to have 2022's copies, but we get them, we bring them in and give them to you guys. But if you're gonna attach that you want that in October, for us specifically, we may not make that requirement. So when you put these requirements in, talk to us a little bit to make sure we can meet the requirements you're gonna put on now. Just so we can communicate back and forth to make sure we'll give you whatever you want on our end. We just make sure we can do it.
Like I said, one of the other companies provided a complete balance sheet of every every check.
Yeah, I mean, we lumped into a budget and everything, because we've sat down with a business in the area when we had them business meetings 4 or 5 years ago, whatever. We hadn't done that, he sat down with us to grade that. So that's some things we learned from that meeting with the business community to change for us, so we're getting to that point also. So there's changes on our ends that might have to happen to meet that criteria for you guys.
Well, and the canceled checks and receipts are pretty simple.
Yeah, my only question for that was, that kind of defeats the purpose of a donation, doesn't it? If you're gonna require us to give you that back, you're mixing what was ARPA money requirements to what was donation for the last, I don't know, 25 years, 30 years I've been doing it. It's been the same way, now you wanna, and change is all right, I'm not saying you don't have the right to do that, but now we're not a donation anymore. So is the general public gonna say, you know what, we wanna see a canceled check, we'll just spend our money on it? Because we're calling that a donation.
Well, then we'll have copy,
Right, but we can give you that proof through the government under act whatever, and everybody, including the supervisor of this room, can go get that. So,
but then we'll have copies for the residents as well, from you.
I guess that's my question is, where
It takes-
does our privacy stop when we start turning stuff? Because everything we give you guys, no matter what it is now opens the right to know acts. We're a private business in the end. So there's a line there somewhere. You know, we have our rules and laws we gotta adhere to, and maybe that's something the lawyers can weigh in on.
Right, so it's the second-class township code that puts the responsibility on you, the fire company. The code says that you must annually report on how the money the township donates
Correct,
to the fire company is spent.
correct, and we've done that for 20-some years.
And it's very general. It doesn't say anything more than that. And my advice to the board was, you get to decide within reason on the adequacy of that report. And, you know, some of my municipalities are satisfied with a letter that says we spend it on this and that. Other of my municipalities want to see invoices and canceled checks, and others want to see audited financial statements. You are a community nonprofit, a 501c3, and, you know, part of your quote-unquote marketing to your donors is that you manage your money well. And, you know, one of my communities gets very substantial donations to the fire company from Armstrong World Industries. And Armstrong, as a donor, wants assurances beyond what the Board of Supervisors want. So, you know, it's how you do business. Nonprofits are not, the fire company is not necessarily subject to the right to know law, probably because you're subject to so many other reporting laws.
Right, but.
If I want your 990, I'm gonna get it.
Right, and that's what
Yeah.
we're saying, it's out there,
It's out there.
it's out there.
If I want your tax return, probably not, but
I think that's out there too.
it might be, yeah. But your 990 is out there, and you can learn an awful lot about a nonprofit from a
Yeah,
990.
absolutely.
Yeah. So, it's somewhat discretionary between the board and the fire company.
And that's why I'm saying, change is not a bad thing,
Yeah,
just
yeah.
make sure it's good for everybody.
And, you know, it's somewhat, and again, in my experience, it's somewhat specific to what's going on. When one of my fire companies was building a new fire station, it was in the news recently, when Mastersonville was building a new fire station, RAFO wanted all kinds of information. And luckily for RAFO, it was there for them to move in when their public works building exploded. But nevertheless, you know, it's that kind of relationship. So I think it's a matter of being reasonable, and the comment about when things need to be submitted. You know, it could be a rolling thing. And it doesn't have to all come in at one time to satisfy the township that it's being done. This year's contribution can be based on last year's reporting, just so that we know that this year's reporting is coming in. So we'll, but my advice to the board was two things. One, let's get certain, and let's have the request come from the manager so that all three of the fire companies are getting the same thing.
And can we also have that in a hard letter as well? Not just an email, the hard, I think we've been the last couple of years getting an email instead of a hard letter, the paper copy as
We'll attach a letter to your email.
well. Okay.
I get nothing in the mail. You know, three days out of 5, I walk upstairs and there's nothing in my box.
I know for us, I get it, and I'm the chief, and I feel that should be more of the executive side of fire companies.
To the president.
Yeah, because it comes to me, you know, and our president's old school. If you send him an email, it might be 3 years till he opens it, kind of deal. So
Fair enough. We'll figure it out.
All right, moving on, fire company apparatus insurance. Do we have an update on that?
Guess that would be coming from the companies.
You guys actually, Chad Waver, you guys actually never gave us a date when you want to know that, other than we'll do it in August. So I know we have gathered information, I can't speak for the others, and I don't know if Jim has all the information, he had put it out to bids for some others. But if you give us a date to come in, we'll be here to have it.
Tommy, do you want to reach out to all 3 fire companies and let them know to bring that information to our first meeting in September? We'll give them another 30 days.
Any update there, Donnie, or?
Yeah, we've been reaching out as well, getting some different quotes, and you talk to one company, and they said, well, maybe the 3 companies want to go together, and then you talk to another one saying, well, what the township had to do is say, we want these vehicles off our policy, and boom, and then, you know, it just depends. Our treasurer's taking care of the bulk of that, so. But she reports that we know we had a couple different companies as well giving us bids. We're just trying to figure out what's the best bang for our buck.
So progress is being made. Good. Okay.
Any comments or questions on that? Moving on, Act 172 tax credit for volunteer emergency responders. The last meeting, I had asked the board to bring their ideas to the table so we can talk and figure out if we're gonna do it or not. Again, we're missing one board member. I don't know if, Jeff, you wanna talk about it or wait for RC to be here or what? Your call.
Well, I think we ought to keep the conversation going. Have members in the audience, and you know, if you've got some conclusions, you know, I'm all ears.
I do.
Good guess.
I can't prepare it. If I set a deadline, I'm not gonna come unprepared.
There you go.
So formally, I want to thank Kelly because he got us a lot of this information that he sent in from Exeter, some from Shrewsbury, Freedom Borough, and out of York County. They're kind of all over the place. Some people are asking for minimum things. Some people are asking for more. I said this in the past couple meetings. I'd love to get this started for our first responders. I think we need to give back to them in a way. But I had my criteria written here, but I see there's representation from all 3 fire companies. And I truly want to say something to you guys because I'm just a blunt, honest guy. Owning a business in this community, after last meeting, there's 4 individuals, different days, approached me and were disgusted how we were spoken to, the arrogancy via Zoom that they heard by some members, not every member, how I came across wasn't good. So people, the residents, the taxpayers are telling us the fire companies are asking for the Act 172, a tax credit, so their hands out and they're slapping you at the same time. Are you sure you want to give them our money? And I just looked at them and I felt 2 weeks gone by, 4 different people. And I was speechless. What can I say? All I can say is my response was, if the board doesn't decide what we're gonna do and we just keep nagging them on, they're gonna keep getting mad. And it's not the proper thing to do. So that's why at the last meeting, I tried setting a deadline for this meeting. Although that happened, I still came prepared with my criteria that I'd like to see for the qualifications for the tax credit. That being said, my wish, my hope would be communication. Communication's key. We have a manager. If you guys need to reach us, contact him. He'll give all 3 of us the same information. And respect. Those two things go a long way. And I really would love this community to come together and be better and stronger than any other community, if we can be that way. It doesn't always have to be about putting people down and acting all big and bad so people on Zoom hear you yelling or whatever, Sorry for the lecture that I just threw out there, but I really felt like I had to say that. So my criteria for the Act 172 that I would like to see our first responders, for the qualifications per se. I know Kelly had made a proposal of, he thought an average of 25 members per station would qualify for the max credit of $1,100. That total cost would have been $82,500. The proposal that the 3 fire companies made to the Board of Supervisors was the earned income would have been half of 1% up to $500. And then the real estate tax, they'd have to live in East Cocalico Township. The credit would be 100% of that up to $600. That's how you get the $1,100. The tracking would then come to the township with a notarized list of qualified members that would be turned into the township by the fire chief of each station by year's end. Again, that was on the proposal from the 3 fire companies. And that was including the firefighters, fire police, EMS, and the support staff. My proposal, and again, I'm just throwing this out there, it's just me. I don't know what my other fellow board members are thinking. It's based off of what my thinking is, with the thinking of hopefully this is a start. Let's get started. Hopefully we get someone on the board to bite on it and go to the school district and ask for some more there. The credit I was thinking was $700 per volunteer times the 75 volunteers that would qualify for that max credit. That would bring it up to like $52,500. The criteria, the firefighters would attend 40% of fire operations functions. That's including incidents, training, fire prevention, community events, 25% of fundraising. I will get Kelly, I don't know if you're trying to write it down, I'll get this to Tommy so that he'll get it to you, and then I'll know if Jeff has other things as well. So, fire police, they would attend 25% of all fire incidents and 20% of fundraising. EMS volunteers, I'd say 360 hours yearly. that comes out to 30 hours per month in a 25% of fundraisers. I think you guys had proposed 24 hours a month, Kelly? Like 240?
Sounds right.
I think so. The support members, because there's people that say, you know, why are you gonna include them? Well, the fire company needs to support members. So my proposal will be a 45% or up to 100 hours of yearly fundraising. Active members, at least, to qualify, you have to be an active member for at least 12 months and in good standings with your fire department. And I don't know if this is a possibility or not, because I tried to do some research, and I don't think I came up with the right answer. And again, this is up for discussion. For the firefighters, firefighter 1 certified or pump operator, and if they don't have that, give them up to 24 months to get this if they don't already have it. I don't know how hard or complicated or whatnot that would be. But I saw Exeter Township had that on theirs, and that really caught my attention. But again, that's just my proposal. I don't know what the other board members would come up to, and maybe we can come up with an agreement. So 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. So did you get that, Tommy? I'll get it to you.
I think Gettysburg had that certification requirement too. That was one of the consistencies we saw to some of the programs that are already out there. But then they also add in with support personnel, which is somewhat generic. So I don't know how you totally define that. If it's an active member that doesn't have the certification, if support personnel would cover that, or you're basically looking at fundraising help or training help that does not go out on calls.
So I just pulled up the act because I wanted to refresh my memory. The credit is available to a volunteer. And the activities are described as those that the governing body may consider in establishing the credit. And there are 4. And it doesn't give more weight to one or the other, but they are the 4 activities that you may consider. So the number of emergency calls to which a volunteer responds, the level of training and participation in formal training and drills for a volunteer, the total amount of time expended by a volunteer on administrative and other support services, including fundraising and facility or equipment maintenance, and the involvement in other events or projects that aid the financial viability, emergency response, or operational readiness of a volunteer fire company or a nonprofit emergency medical services agency. And again, none of those is weighted higher than the other. So somebody that spends hundreds of hours maintaining the financial records of the company could be considered as valuable a service as responding to 3 calls a month or whatever.
So support personnel is a
Correct.
broad blanket covering
Right.
a lot of
Right.
different functions.
What's that? Shall consider the following activities, right?
It's required.
Yeah.
I guess the way I read that is there's, it's up to the board to define all these little support functions and such.
Again, to create some equivalencies.
comment on what your numbers were there. I guess about every one of them's a change from the proposition. Is that where,
Minor. A minor change, yeah.
you know, some of them were proposed
And
at
the fire police stayed the same.
25%? Yeah. You know, I guess in a general sense, you know, this isn't being done anywhere in the county yet, from what I've heard. You know, unless you gentlemen know different. And I know it's being talked about in a few other municipalities, and you know, I think there's going to be some trial and error at this. We have to get into it for maybe a 2-year period, reevaluate as we go, and see where some other changes would need to be made. I think your framework's somewhat basic to where my thoughts were too. You know, that number that came in was a big number at the 82,000. That would equate to more than a 4% property tax increase if the money were to come from that source. So, you know, I'm thinking maybe starting into it a little slower too. I think your numbers of, you said 4 and 400 per individual.
400 income, and real estate was 300.
I think that's basically something I could live with too. I'd like to look and compare them a little bit till next meeting to give it some more thought. It'd be prudent to keep that on the agenda for the next meeting yet too. Does that work for you, Mr. Chair?
Yeah, it's fine with me. I'm just trying to write it down so I have a copy for the manager right now.
And anybody in the public? Yes, sir.
Can you clarify, we'll use Lorenzo's form you laid out there, the training that you had spoke of, did you say fire one and pump or pump?
Or,
Okay.
and I was going off of Exeter's.
Right, I want to give you an example of something here real quick.
Please.
Fire one is a national standard that has come about that is not required by NFPA anywhere for anybody in Pennsylvania. That is up here.
Okay.
In my station, I have 5 guys that have that. I am not one of them guys.
Okay.
I've been doing this since 1987. Fire one requirement is there. That tax credit doesn't apply for me. Now, I'm not interested in that tax credit either. I'm not in the business for that purpose.
And that's where I was going.
Well, that's why I want to give you an example. However, if I come in as a pump operator, I need 24 hours of class. The National Firefighter, one guy needs 600 hours?
Right.
So you're throwing apples and oranges here, just so you guys know. You guys don't necessarily know. You're reading it on paper, just to give you.
And that's why I said it before I mentioned that.
Right, that's why I want you
do some
to,
more research on that.
that's why I wanted to understand if you said and or or, because that's
My
the
research
difference.
was all over the place. I didn't even know if it
Right.
made sense.
And that's why I wanted to just make you see what you were.
And I appreciate the feedback.
And same with the fire police guy. He can go to 16 hours of class and he's done. So it's gonna be, I'm not personally, if we're being honest, I'm not in favor of this thing. Our department is, it's for the younger guys. The guys that are in this service are in it for the community to do the right thing. So it's gonna be tough to find a happy medium there on the training requirements to satisfy everybody. If the fire one was a requirement, our guys are gonna go from whatever they presented to 5. And if it's in the East Cocalico Township only, it might be 1, because I have West Cocalico and Effingham Township people in our department, because we service 3 municipalities. So it's gonna be hard to find a happy medium there. So as you're looking, throw them ideas out, just like the training is. You read it on paper, and you guys don't necessarily understand what that is. And we'll help Pages, I mean, he's gonna do what needs to be done, and,
I scratched that off my list.
well, but you didn't know, so that's why I said,
Just saying.
yeah, and that's why I wanted to understand if you said and or, because that does make it different. If it's both, then, I mean, that's a,
The other municipalities, it's four.
yeah.
One board.
So, but yeah, I mean, if that's what the future generations are looking for, I mean, us older guys, we're here because it's to give back to the community, but they need something in their hands for putting their time in, I guess.
Any other questions? Comments? No? Thank you for that feedback.
Thank you for the,
I still don't think you were prepared though.
we were trying to get him in the dunk tank Tuesday. It didn't quite work.
Moving on, action items. We have Officer Dockery as, we're talking about?
Yes, thank you. Officer Joseph Doherty has successfully completed his first year of employment and in the field training program within our department. And because of that, I recommend that he be removed from probationary officer status.
He would be the officer that received the elevation. So he had,
Yes.
saved a life. That's correct. Okay.
I'd like to make a motion to confirm East Cocalico Police Officer Joseph Doherty has successfully completed his first year of service in all applicable training program requirements.
Okay, and I'll second that motion.
Motion is second, all in favor?
Aye.
Motion carries 2-0.
They're like 4 weeks old.
Interfund transfers, bill list, and payroll.
Okay, yes, we have a bit of a list again tonight. We're transferring different amounts of money from general fund to others, so I'll start into that. I'll make a motion to transfer $4,006.50 from the to the general fund for tax collector payroll from January to June 23.
I'll second that. Motion is second, all in favor?
Aye.
Aye, motion carries.
Okay, and I'd like to make a motion to transfer $2,919.95 from the hydrant fund to the general fund for tax collector payroll January to June of 2023.
I'll second that. Motion is second, all in favor?
Aye.
Aye, motion carries.
I'd like to make a motion to transfer $31,465 from the rec fund to the general fund for invoices paid in April and May of 2023.
Second that. Motion is second, all in favor? Aye.
Aye.
Motion carries.
I can make a motion to transfer $3,404.63 from the traffic impact fund to the general fund for invoices paid January to June of 2023.
I'll second that one. Motion is second, all in favor? Aye.
Aye.
Motion carries.
And make a motion to transfer $152,827.33 from the ARPA fund to the general fund for invoices paid and payroll paid December 2022 to June of 2023.
I'll second that. Motion is second, all in favor?
Aye.
Motion carries.
Okay. And for the week of July 27th of 2023, I'd like to make a motion to approve the check payments for the general fund bank account. This is bills in the amount of $51,492.82. Is there any questions on that?
second that, motion is second, all in favor? Aye.
Aye.
Motion carries.
And for the week of August 3rd, 2023, total check payments for the general fund bank account listed bills in the amount of $82,508.85. Is there any question on that list of bills? Seeing none, I make a motion to approve.
I'll second it. Motion is second, all in favor? Aye.
Aye.
Motion carries.
And electronic list of bills for payroll in the amount of $92,088.20 for the pay period of July 16th through July 29th. An amount that includes the second quarter 2023 payroll tax withholdings and the 2023 P-Corp federal excise tax for medical benefits. Any questions there? Seeing none, I make a motion to approve.
I'll second that. Motion is second, all in favor? Aye.
Aye.
Motion carries.
Okay, and that is the bills for tonight.
Thank you. Moving on, informational items, do you got anything?
The Chief Savage does, you want to talk about National Night Out or?
We have National Night Out, August 1st. It's the first Tuesday of every August each year. This year was another success, and we attribute that to all the local businesses. We received an outpouring of donations from so many local businesses. We have so many volunteers that step up every year they donate their time. And it's a lot of work, it's a lot of preparation, it's a lot of coordination. Officer Rachel Odenwald coordinated it within our department, and she did a fantastic job. And yeah, saw a lot of smiling faces, a lot of people having fun, that was a good time. It's a good tradition.
Yeah, well done for you and your people and volunteers that were there as well.
The fire companies, all 3 fire companies were there. They put on a great show.
Helicopter.
The helicopter.
Yeah.
Anything else? New business? Anything? Old business?
2 weeks later.
Public comment, please state your name for non-agenda items. Or meeting minutes, please state your name. Yes, sir.
Doug Macklin. I have in my hand a public record of the arbitrator's ruling where the town, they found a 2-tier system in the township, where they stated in here. I'm gonna go back. I've been in this business for 24 years before I left, and I've never seen a letter so egregious or damning into the township, never. I've been through arbitrations, I've been through firings, never have I seen us called a 2-tier system. Back on, you all remember Tony Luongo resigned effective June 24th, 2021. He was paid a total of $19,730 on this round number. He was due $2,959, which is a difference of $16,770. And that works out to be 6.6661% higher than the employee manual said he should have been paid. At a meeting on September the 2nd, Jeff Mitchell stated, and I quote, "I think the total payout was the right thing to do. He was an honorable man." Jumping ahead, was the chief ever paid his due money?
Is that a question?
Question, that's a question.
Repeat that again, please.
Was the chief ever paid money that was due to him in full? All his personnel time and all his sick leave? not by the manual, but the same formula that you use to pay Tony. Now, I'm not dissing on Tony, this is all about you guys, a two-tiered system.
So that's a personnel matter and we can't discuss that.
Well, okay, and I'll accept that, okay? So, again, my underlying question is, was the former chief ever paid the way a former employee was paid? Just handed a blank check.
I don't think I can comment at this time on that.
That's fine, I'll accept it. I just want everybody to know the arbitrary ruling found this township to be a two-tiered system. Yeah, I guess, depending who you are.
Anything else? Any other comments, questions? Yes, ma'am.
Soon happy. I just have a question. What happened to your microphones? Didn't you used to have microphones? The audio is terrible when you're listening to it
On
online.
Zoom? On Zoom? Did they break? Did we not have one? So after we can speak. We'll make sure they're here next. That's turned on, so the speaker in the room.
It was good last week. Well, last meeting it was good.
We didn't have microphones at that.
I had no problem last week.
It's this microphone, not these.
And I have another question quick.
Yes, ma'am.
Somebody asked me why your email addresses have been removed from the township website.
Like the supervisor email?
Yeah, if I want to send you something, I can. I don't know what your email address is.
Since I've
They
been
were
here,
always
they have
on.
not been on the website. We recently created an email address for the board so that a person can email the one email address of all three supervisors receive the same email.
Is it on
Yes.
your website?
Yeah, we
Where-
did it
where
earlier
that-
this week.
Where
Under
is
the
it?
contacts page.
Oh,
Under
you
the-
just did it?
Under the contacts page, yeah.
Oh, okay.
But the supervisor individual email addresses, at least since I've been here, have never been on the website. If you hit the contact the board of supervisors button on the website, it went to the recording secretary. If the recording secretary was out or it happened on the weekend, the board would be delayed in getting their message, which is why we switched it.
So now it instantly goes to us because we got a test. I received a test email yesterday from our internet guy, company, so. Any other comments or questions? All right. Our next Board of Supervisors meeting will be Thursday, August 17th at 7 o'clock here at the Township Building. And once again, we will also be broadcasting it live via Zoom. I will make a motion to adjourn.
I'll second that.
Motion and a second, all in favor? Aye.
Aye.
Motion carries. Thank you.
Thank you.